Good morning. Well, today we're going to be doing adding and subtracting decimals. It's kind of an additional learning piece to what we just recently did, which was talking about decimal place value. Now we're actually going to take those decimals and we're going to use them. This is the topic, adding and subtracting decimals. It's going on page 24 of your interactive notebook. The essential question, or what you should be able to answer by the time you're done with these notes, is what are the most important steps in adding and subtracting decimals? This is standard 6 NS3, and by the end of this lesson you should be able to fluently, which means consistently or with regularity, add and subtract decimals. For this lesson, you're going to need your page 23 and 24. This is page 23, it's the note page. Page 24 is your example page. You're also going to need a pencil or pen, as well as a post-it note, which you can find if you're in the classroom in one of your white supply boxes. So please take a moment, pause the computer if you need to get all your supplies in order. All right, I'm going to move on. Hopefully you paused and got everything that you needed done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start off by taking my little post-it note, because I'm not sure quite the size, and I'm going to place it where it's going to go, and then I'm going to put some lines just so I can know that that's where I got to write within. And I'm going to write in here the rule, and this is the rule for adding or subtracting decimals. The first thing you want to do is you want to line up the decimal points. So I line up my problem, and when I'm lining up my problem, I make sure that all of my decimal points are lined up in order. Then I'm going to solve. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring down the decimal point, and I'm going to bring that decimal point straight down. Now remember, I've lined up my decimal point, so now it just goes straight down and it's all done. So line up the decimal points, then solve, whether it's addition or subtraction, bring the decimal point straight down, and you're done. So I'm going to hide this, so if I need to study later, I can go back and I can remember those rules. So I'm going to cover it with my post-it note. Oops, I missed it a little bit, but that's okay. And I'm going to write, this is the rule. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom where I have my practice problems. So the first problem that I have here is 62 and 9/10, there we go, 62 and 9/10 minus 25 hundredths. I'm going to line that up. I've got 62.9. Now I've got minus. Now you'll notice that here's my decimal point, and there is 2 digits after the decimal point. It's actually in the hundredths place. So I'm going to line up my decimal point, and then I'm going to add my number. Now this looks confusing because, as you see, there's a hole here. The decimals are lined, but it only has 9/10 at the top, and there's a place missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 0 as a placeholder. And now it looks like every digit is lined up, the decimals are lined up, and I'm ready to go. I cannot take 5 from 0, so I'm going to have to borrow. I'm going to come over here and borrow 10 from this 8. And I now have 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 2, 6. And then I have 2 minus 0, which is 2. 6 minus 2, or 6 minus 0, which is 6. Drop down decimal, decimal, drop it down. And there is my answer, 62 and 65 hundredths. And I'm going to write it over here in my answer spot. All right, the next question that we have is an addition problem. Once again, we just line up our decimal points. So I'm going to have 4.7 plus, and I'm going to line up my decimal first. Now here I've got 99 after, 99 hundredths, and prior I have 21. All right. Once again, I have a hole. I got to put my little 0 in there to fill in my hole. Now I just add. 0 plus 9 is 9. 7 plus 9 is 16. Carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Bring down my 2, decimal, decimal, drop. My answer is 26 and 69 hundredths. Sorry, that was messy. Be careful when you're circling, not like me. Alright, the final problem. This example problem has a subtraction problem. See if you can pause the video and if you can set yours up and then come back and play the video to see if you got it correct. So I'm going to give you a moment to pause. Alright, so hopefully you paused and you wanted to see if you could do it as well as me. So I'm going to take my number and I'm going to first start off with putting in my decimals and lining them up. So I've got decimal here, 15 and 367 thousandths minus 45 hundredths. Now my placeholder needs to go here because that's where I've got a hole. Alright, now I just subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. 6 minus 5 is 1. 3 minus 4, well, I have to borrow. So I'm going to come over here and borrow 10 from here. Alright, now I've got 13 minus 4 is 9. And I'm just going to bring this 14 down. Decimal, decimal, drop it down. And my answer now is 14 and 917 thousandths. So I hope you paused and you did yours, and I'm hoping you got it right, and it looks all set up properly. Remember, once again, the number one rules with adding and subtracting decimals is you line up your decimal points. Once you line up your decimal points, then you just add or subtract. Don't forget, though, if you have any placeholders, just put those zeros in to keep their place, and then continue to add or subtract just like you know. Borrow if you need to, do all of those things, but then just bring that decimal straight down. Well, I hope you understand. If you don't, make sure to come and ask me questions later, or you can email me questions, or you can watch this video again. Khan Academy also has some great videos on how to do this. When you're done, I want you to go over to page 23 when you're confident on how to do this, and I want you to do these 3 practice problems all on your own and see how you do. Alright guys, have a great day and have some fun!